Hello everyone, I'm Brian, and let's continue. But first, so I wanted to read one of the comments I got an email was from the last video, from the part one of this. It says close to 3,000 parties in India, if you count all states. Too much democracy, hence no work gets done. So I do have to kind of try to put this into context. So is it 3,000 parties? Kind of like in the United States, obviously, there's the two major parties. There are other parties too. But you have the Democratic Party and the Republican Party being the major parties, and you have that within all 50 states as well. And but you also have sub parties in there that are trying, but I think there's two other parties, two other small parties. I think there's the Tea Party, and then there's another party. But anyways, they're not known just because they're not big enough. So anyways, um, I don't know if you're saying 3,000 parties as in like if I count the Republican Party and the Democratic Party on all 50 states, that's 100 parties, but there's just two parties. Or is there like 3,000 parties, or just a ridiculous number of parties that are all different parties that none of them are linked to each other? So, like, the Republican Party in one state and the Republican Party in another state are relatively linked together because they have the same ideals, and that they'll support a a Republican or Democratic president, depending Democrat, Republican. They'll have relatively the same ideals, so those states and presidency will generally get the things pushed for whatever the Republican Party pushes for. So are you saying like again example United States there are two generally speaking two parties in every state, and there's 100 parties, two from each state, but half of it's Republican, half of it's Democrat? Or is there literally 3,000 individual parties not related to each other? If that's the case, I mean, good lord, it's a lot. That's like way too much. And so again, I don't know how Indian democracy or the government works over there, but like no works get done. I'm assuming whenever is this 3,000 parties for like the presidency? Is this including like just the presidency alone? Government, like federal government, or the whole India government, or is this like like we have local governments too, which are also Republican Democrat. We have city mayors, we have I don't know, senates, just a whole bunch of different kind of governments too, but they're all kind of linked in a certain way. And it says hence no work gets done. Like I can get it if one of the parties is trying to do something, but then there's also like sorry. In the United States, there's three branches of government: legislative, executive, and judicial. Legislative writes the laws, the executive executes the laws, and the judicial interprets the laws. I believe that's the right interpretation of the three branches, and they're supposed to keep each other in check. There's equal power among all of them. And for example, if India has one party that becomes leader and the other parties are fighting against it because it doesn't work in their interest, so therefore everything this one party tries to do gets vetoed down or gets voted out, then when this other party tries to do the exact same thing, the other two parties, vetoes it down or doesn't vote for it so it doesn't get done. Is that what's going on? Because I would assume once someone's the leader of a mayor of a town or whatever, generally speaking, they kind of have power over the city or the states or whatever else, and there's nothing really to push back on them. I mean, mind you, this is the federal government that has the three powers, but I don't think that it's like that in the local government. You have the one branch in a sense, which either becomes Democratic or Republican, and then they bring out their laws and or start implementing laws. Nothing can necessarily veto it because I think everyone in the government, at least the local government, are on the same page. So I don't know. I'm not too sure about the local governments. And it's not necessarily I hate politics. It's just that there's too much other things going on in life in general, and and I don't really care to know in terms of how the government works. But in terms of obvious policies and stuff, that's something you definitely want to know. You don't need to know that there's the head of whatever, and then there's two branches off of them that does this. You just need to know, make sure that the policies that are implemented are good, that you vote on these policies that are being executed, and that if there are policies that are not being executed, you know what to do to say no, we don't want these, or yes, we do. You don't need to know that like how many people are in line or all those other things like positionings in government. It's irrelevant, generally speaking, but how the powers work, what can you do, what is your power and what is your abilities that you can say no or yes to certain bills or whatever. So I think that being the more important part because you need to know what your limitations are and what powers you have. Anyways, let's continue.
So, Sadhguru, there are times in life when I'm just doing excellent, doing to my fullest. But then suddenly a feeling creeps in which tells me that your downfall is near. It bothers me.
Maybe you're just landing.
Yes, and with this feeling getting into the system, my performance actually starts to deteriorate. So, Sadhguru, how do we fight these inner monstrous voices?
I mean, I hate to say it's so simple in a sense. Everything, of course, is in a sense inner engineering. Everything's internal, and this is all ego as well. I mean, it's easier said than done for sure. I've gotten lucky enough that, much like what Sadhguru said in the very, is it the beginning or towards the end of the last video, is that pay attention to your body. I paid attention to what my body was like in the resting state, and anything outside of that is abnormal to me. So when I notice my body in that abnormal state, I know that's not normal. I know something's going on, and that's not right. And I can choose not to be that way. In a sense, choose not to be that way. Sorry if I'm talking funny, it's because I bit my tongue. I think it's swollen and I don't want to bite it again. So, anyways, again, easier said than done, of course. But I remember to put myself back into that state of calmness. Try to again. Usually, I'm usually successful in that because most things are not stressful to me anymore. Um, but what else? And it's kind of weird, I guess. She has these, in a sense, something in her head that's saying that she's not going to be successful or whatever. I don't know what I would honestly say. I would ask her, it's like, well, this things tell you not successful, but have you always failed when everybody said this, or have you always succeeded, or what's the scenario? And if you've always succeeded, then you can just ignore these because obviously you've always succeeded in whatever it is you're trying to do. If you mostly succeeded, then you're only holding yourself up. It's roughly still the same thing. I don't know profession. I'm not a professional, but what a professional would say. But I know without a doubt that obviously in engineering, finding out your true self will help a lot. I know, I won't say per se what my true self is, but I do understand the meaning behind it, and with that understanding, I'm able to get to a sort of contentment state. So, and I know what that's like. I've started paying attention to my body in terms of if I'm sick or not. Like when, again, like I said, I think I've said it a few times, but anyways, I do pay attention to my body. If something acts weird, I know about it. I know it's weird. If I'm sick or if I'm upset or anything, nothing's a surprise. So you could, in some sense, I have observed my body, observed my ego, and I know when something is not right.
How many monsters do you have within you? I thought there's only one monster, that's you. This we must be very clear. See, if you are hearing two voices within you, an angelic voice and a monstrous voice, this doesn't mean something fantastic has happened. This means you're either schizophrenic or you're possessed. Yes. You either need a psychiatrist or an exorcist. So, this is very important. This people are doing in the name of religion, in the name of spirituality, in the name of so-called modern solutions to everything. In many ways, this is finding expression. In India, we have a huge vocabulary for these things. If you say anything to anybody, oh, this is my ahankara, this is my ego doing this is my soul, this is my this is my that. Well, if so many people are speaking from within you, if so many people are stuck in this one body, this is a ailment, isn't it? Hello? If there is more than one in this body, is this an ailment or no? Only one. This body is designed for one, isn't it? This is the most fundamental thing you must do. There's just you and you and you in this. There is no another. The moment there is another, this is a trick. Initially you play this trick. When something happens well, of course it's me. When something didn't happen, I don't know, some other voice, somebody else, my ego, my… all kinds of other creatures which don't exist you manufacture in your mind. You can call it Atman, Paramatman, God speaks within you, devil speaks within you. See, whenever people said, God spoke to me, disasters unfolded. Yes, have you seen this? The President of the United States at one time, about 15 years ago or 18 years ago, said, God told me, oh, what a disaster, 600,000 people died and a whole nation destroyed. That is the kind of things always happen when God spoke. Because I want you to understand, it's not about God speaking. When you want to say something absolutely illogical and unreasonable, you bring the God and the devil.
And perhaps her case monster. But I know she's not talking about, she's has these monsters or whatever, she's talking about is doubt in her mind. But Sadhguru saying these things actually helped me formulate an answer that I would give her. This is herself telling herself she doubts herself. She has self-doubt, is what's going on here. Essentially, that's what she's saying. But how do you fix that? I mean, the only thing you can really do is just prove to yourself that you are capable of doing it. You made it this far, haven't you? You've done good, haven't you? Continue to do what you do. You're successful at what you're doing. Don't let this doubt get to you. You've proven it to yourself time and time again. But still, again, easier said than done. This is something that's very hard to do. The only reason why there's doubt exists is because the outcome is unknown. And the only thing you can really do to reduce the unknown of outcome is sample for a test is to study. Study. Learn all that you can. Learn what's going to be in that test. And then you'll always still have doubt because you don't know until it's too late. When you're sitting on the desk and the test plops right in front of you, then you know for sure what's on the test. Now, whether you learned that or not, you don't know. Well, I mean, you would know, but you don't know if you learned everything or not, or whether you forgot some things. That's where the doubt lies. It's what you do not know, which up until the test, you don't know what the test is going to be like, you don't know what the questions are going to be like, you don't know what you need to study, but you just have to study. Practice, learn.
So, if there is more than one voice, you have to kill the other voices. For this, you must understand, there is a complexity to human mind. That's what is fantastic about us. If you had the brain of an earthworm, of course you would be eco-friendly, but there would be no IIT, isn't it? I have nothing against the earthworms, they're fantastic creatures, but there would be no IIT, for sure. There would be no technology, they would be just eco-friendly, earth would be good with earthworms. But so many things, possibilities wouldn't happen. So the complexity of who we are is the greatest gift we have.
And the
Isn't it so?
greatest
There
curse
is
too,
a
I guess.
cerebral complexity, which is what makes us who we are. This is the greatest gift. But this is what every human being is suffering. I'm asking all of you, though you are in Kharagpur, When was the last time you were stabbed by a dagger? Hello? Even in Bengal it didn't happen. They're really ignoring you, okay? Maybe the biggest thing that happened to you is a mosquito bit you. That is the level of suffering that the world is inflicting upon you. Rest of the suffering is all on self-help, isn't it? So why are you suffering like this? Because… I'll ask you a simple question, tell me yes or no. Because I'm also going to bless you according to your question. Do you want your intellect to be sharp or blunt? Okay. What department are these guys? Oh. Is it political science? Is it one of the disciplines, sir? Is it one of the disciplines in the… No, then how? There's infiltration in your college.
I mean, the right answer for that, obviously, is whatever tool I need for the time. Sometimes you need a sharp instrument, sometimes you need a blunt instrument, sometimes you need a flashlight instrument. Just whatever tool that you need for the time. But, you know, I had to think about that a few times. Obviously, whenever he first asked this, I did say sharp too. It's the obvious answer.
You naturally want your intellect to be sharp. That means intellect is a cutting instrument. It's like a knife. The sharper it is, the better it is, isn't it? So there are children who are being tortured here by me. The parents have come out of their eagerness, but I'm not singing a lullaby or anything, I'm talking like this. So suppose there is a very sharp knife here, would you give it to the child? Why? Not because a knife is dangerous, because the child may not be steady enough to handle such a sharp instrument, it could hurt itself or it could hurt somebody. So right now, after millions of years of evolution, we gave you an intellect. We mean…
Sorry, real quick. Interesting. I like that he said that it's not because the knife is dangerous. I'm curious as to what you guys have thought. Did you think to say the answer to that would be the knife is dangerous? Well, in reality, the knife is not necessarily dangerous. A sharp knife is actually pretty safe. Why? Because when you're cutting whatever it is you're cutting, you want to make sure it cuts so smoothly. If it's a blunt or relatively blunt knife, if you cut and it slips, you can end up hurting yourself or someone else. So it's not necessarily the knife's fault that someone cannot handle the knife, but it's the operator of the equipment. It's something I made an argument before, but about a different topic. I'll leave it at that.
Means I'm on the side of nature, okay? We gave you a sharp mind. Now you're cutting yourself all over the place and you're complaining about it. No, when something is sharp given to you, you must learn how to hold it, isn't it? You have to learn how to handle it. If you hold it at the wrong end or if you move irresponsibly, you will cut yourself. Right now, these are all individual expressions of someday I feel like this, someday I feel like this. Human beings essentially are going through a whole lot of suffering. Somebody is in the war zone, somebody is in a famine zone. I will leave those human beings because that's a different scene. But the rest of the people are all suffering only one thing, their own intelligence. If you took half their brain away, they would sit peacefully. Yes or no? no demons, no gods, no voices, peaceful. Yes or no? So we are complaining about the greatest gift that we have. The only reason why compared to all other creatures we are dominating here is because of our cerebral capability, isn't it? You're not as strong as an elephant, you're not as ferocious as a tiger, but the poor tiger needs to be protected today. It's no more a tiger burning bright in the forests of the night. Poor tiger, we need to save it because of the sharpness of our mind, we are able to just about do anything. And this has become the problem. So this has become the problem because we gave you a very complex machine and you not bother to read the user's manual and you're trying to handle it blindly. Now all kinds of things will speak. I want you to understand this, in the cases of schizophrenia, the largest number of personalities that have happened or manifested in one human being that they have studied, there could be more somewhere else, but what has been studied and recorded is 32 full-scale personalities in one human being has been studied and recorded, 32. That is like 32 people are living in this body and talking different languages and incredible capabilities. This guy speaks Bengali, that guy speaks Kannada, that guy speaks Malayalam, or like this. They just pick this up because everything that you heard somewhere is recorded. If you want each one of them, you can make it your different personality. Right now, maybe there is no conscious memory of… Here in this… I'm sure in this campus, so many people are speaking so many different languages. If there are 3 Tamil people and they're speaking Tamil, you didn't understand a word of it. But it is recorded. If you want, you can make that into a person of your own and tomorrow start speaking Tamil. And that person knows Tamil. You as a person do not know. That's how complex mind is. It has a million chambers. You will never get to explore all of it. But the important thing is, you must establish within yourself, there's only one you. Only then you can use this, otherwise it'll use you because it's too complex. Everybody is afraid today, wherever I go they're calling me for all kinds of artificial intelligence conferences in the world, and their fear is, it'll take away our jobs, it'll dominate our life, it'll take over the world. I said, yes, if you remain as stupid as you are, it will. For sure it will. Because right now, your own intellect has taken over your life and destroying you, make you suffer for nothing. If I leave you alone in a room, all by yourself, if you are capable of being miserable, this means you're in bad company, isn't it? Hello? If I'm with you and you suffered, maybe it's me. But you're sitting alone and suffering, this means you're in bad company, isn't it? You have to fix that one thing, that this one is never bad company. This is the best company you have. For this, there is a simple treatment. This simple treatment is just this. You start seeing this much, whatever happens to me in my life, good things happen, ugly things happen, nonsense happens, great things happens, doesn't matter, whatever happens and whatever did not happen in my life, it's all my responsibility. Now, there'll be only one person. If you see this is my responsibility, there'll be only one person, otherwise God will speak here, devil will speak there, Atma will speak from here, Paramatman will speak from somewhere else and they'll drive you crazy. See, most of the society is in different levels of madness. If you're alone and if you can suffer, you're in some state of madness, isn't it so? Only thing is, you're in a socially accepted level of madness. You have to graduate to go into a asylum. But without anybody doing anything, if I am able to cause enormous misery to myself, is this a case or no? Hello? This is a case, isn't it? But because everybody is in the same state, we think it's normal. No, it's not normal. Somebody coming and doing something good to you or bad to you is a possibility. You should never cause damage to this, isn't it? Hello? If you are causing trouble to this, obviously you haven't figured out the fundamentals of your own existence. This is why it is very, very important that I'm not starting a political party.
Very interesting. You said you haven't figured out your own existence. That's quite a statement. It has meaning to it. What it is, I don't know, but it's definitely a statement for sure to say. Obviously, I kind of know what it means. It's the fact that you haven't figured yourself out. You don't know your true self. And the sheer fact that you're considering causing harm to yourself or that you yourself are suffering, even though it's just you, is not the right way to exist. Obviously, why would you want to cause suffering to yourself? That is not correct. So, you haven't figured out your existence. Your existence, of course, is, well, I want to say of course, like as though it is like obviously, but I would assume that contentment is definitely an existence. Um, and it's like I want to say happiness is existence because let's say this is contentment and this is happiness, right? And then you're always here. Then this becomes your new contentment because you're never going lower than this. So this is the new standard. It's kind of like what he's talking about, the crazy people or the certain level of madness, acceptable level of madness. That's what he said. Where, we all are suffering. That's normal because everyone's doing it. So, no suffering, which should be the norm, some suffering, which has become the acceptable norm of society. And because everyone's doing it, that becomes the new norm. It's normal to suffer. It's normal to get angry. It's normal to be sad. But that shouldn't be the norm. It has become the norm, but it shouldn't be the norm. Because why would you want the norm to be suffering?
So, Sadhguru,
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there because Sadhguru did talk for a very long time on that particular topic. Um, I mean, I understood her question, and Sadhguru did finally answer towards the end there. He was rambling on about a lot of stuff that's relevant, but a little bit different relevancy towards the question. Again, hopefully she got the answer she wanted. I think she did. She understands the sheer fact that this doubt in her mind is herself. She is doubting herself, her capabilities. What can you do to fix that doubt? Well, she has been successful until now. She made it into a good college, I'm assuming. Or made it into college alone is pretty good. And continuing to pursue. You graduated high school, graduated elementary school, maybe middle school, some type of school. You have made progress, and throughout this entire time, you've had doubt, but you've always been successful. Keep doing what it is that makes you successful, regardless of what the doubtness of your mind says. And what that should do is encourage you. Use that doubt to make sure that whenever you do whatever it is that you got to do, that you're doubting, that you learn everything you can about it. Whether that's riding a bike, driving a car, riding a moped, knitting, surfing, riding a horse, just whatever the case may be. Use that doubt to your advantage. I think that's kind of the answer I would be looking for, some practicality. I'm a practical person, generally speaking. So I understand metaphorical things and stuff like that are very encouraging that can help people, but also practical examples that will say, okay, what do I need to do to remove these doubts? I'm not saying everything I say or anything anyone says will fix them, but it's worth a shot. You don't know until you try. So, to remove the doubt in her mind, clearly she's made it this far. And she's been successful, like I said before. Just use that doubt to ensure that you're very well prepared. I think that's a pretty good statement. Use this doubt in your mind to say, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove myself wrong. I will succeed. Something like that. I I think my mind overthinks a lot of things, and I use that to my advantage all the time. It thinks about as many perspectives as possible, which I absolutely love. Some people, I don't know if I have an overthinking mind, but some people could say it is. Some people probably says it's not. Well, whatever it is, I'm happy with it. I learned to live, not learn to live with it, but how to say, saying you've learned to live with something is as though that you have accepted the case. I think that's an okay thing to say. To say that if there is something going on and you cannot change it, why bother? Why not accept it for what it is? I mean, mind you, obviously, if it's not harmful. Now, it's like, oh yeah, I get punched every day. I've accepted it. No. But more along the lines of things that you can look at in the positive turn. Overthinking can be bad, but at the same time, if you know how to use it properly, you can kind of turn it into something that's very useful. You overthink things. What can I do to make sure that it does not fail? The overthinking will think of all possible ways of failure, and you can use those to try to ensure that it doesn't fail. Again, just potentialities out there. Not saying it's easy again, I will always say it's easier said than done for sure. Anyways, that's my reaction to Sadhguru, Youth and Truth for part 2. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up the sound down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next vid.